Thank you.
Okay, so next we have Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust. Penny, please. Good to see you again.
Thank you. I do need to get the Phil with David Miller. Together.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you'd both doing it. Is that right? So you carry on rewardless, and you can do 10 minutes between you all.
Nui o tēnei rā. Look, it's always a pleasure to present our submission each LTP, and I want to open by thanking the councillors and particularly the Parks team, who have been such a delight to work with. We've really appreciated the quarterly meetings we've had with some councillors, and it has been really helpful to us. I want to begin by just framing our comments in two ways. I want to make two comments, and it's relevant to everything that we present. The first is that the council leverages huge benefit from the biodiversity dollar it spends on Banks Peninsula, because the community we've worked away of having a community-led, agency-supported approach to all of our work. And that is David will talk a little bit about the benefit that you're leveraging from every biodiversity dollar spent. That collaborative approach is we think, very, very valuable. The second framing comment I want to make is that biodiversity is a public good, and it needs sustained and ongoing attention. You can't blink for a minute, because if you want to lose your investment of tens of years of improving the environment, pest, weed control, it takes 2 minutes for reincursion to happen. And essentially, it's a bit like building something and growing something enormously special and then knocking it down. So those are sobering comments, but it is very important. In terms of our submission, we've begun by listing all of the things that the Trust has celebrated in the last few years, and the last LTP. And really, it's a celebration for it's a celebration for the council, and I should have introduced Andy Thompson here, who's supporting us from DOC, and David Miller from the Pest-Free Banks Peninsula program. Basically, we're hugely supported by the agencies and by the community. In terms of the submission, we support the council's aspiration towards a green and livable city, and also all goals relating to climate change, protecting and regenerating the environment. We do have some considerable concerns, and it may be there, but we can't see it. But the proposed removal of the Environment Partnership Fund supporting communities has been a source where most of the Conservation Trust has had its funding. There appears to be no provision for regional parks in the capital program. This is, we may not have got this right, because that's a huge concern because of the important role that the council's regional parks play in that whole connecting biodiversity corridors, recreation, ecotourism on Banks Peninsula. The 21 partner Te Kahukura program, which the Trust facilitates the work of, that funding has gone, and it seems extraordinary at a time when the Port Hills Fire. This community really works together to support landowners. It's never been more clear that we need funding to support that initiative. The Council's grant via the Environment Partnership Fund seems to have gone in terms of the Pest-Free Banks Peninsula elimination and feral ungulate program. David, I'm sure, will have something to say about that. And the removal of the Environmental Partnership Fund really takes away the support of the operational costs that you've funded us for several years. It keeps the lights on in the trust and helps us to facilitate these large-scale collaborations that we bring together. So in terms of and there's nothing that we can see about the explicit need to control weeds which threaten local ecosystems, and the council staff, you have expert people on the council staff in the parks team, will show you, who will tell you how the incursions are very concerning. Sorry, I'm getting over. So in brief, what we're asking for is the continuation of the annual contribution of $30,000, the continuation of an annual contribution to support the Te Kahukura program, the continuation of an annual contribution to support the very successful Pest-Free Banks Peninsula elimination program, and the continuation of an annual contribution of $40,000 to support the feral ungulate program. These are all utterly, utterly crucial. And we have not asked for any more because of the constraints than the previous LTP. We would have loved to, but we just want to protect what we've got already. David.
Before David starts, Penny, I'd just like to say I really value all of your contribution, because you really stretch a dollar and really make it go as far as it possibly can. So thank you for what you're doing. So carry on.
Yeah. Thank you for that, David.
Well, kia ora everybody, and I'd like to start. I'm David Miller, and I have the privilege of chairing the project management group for Pest-Free Banks Peninsula. So I'm here speaking on behalf of them, and Andy Thompson is a member of that group, and we have many other 15 partner agencies helping us to do a good job. I'd also like to thank you all for the work you do. I feel a sense of overwhelming sympathy that you have 7,000 submissions to wade through, but we're grateful for the time and for the work you do on behalf of all of us, so thank you. The City Council was a foundational partner for Pest-Free Banks Peninsula. You signed the MOU in 2018 along with 13 other agencies, and the money you have pledged towards the program has had an extraordinary multiplier effect. We've seen relatively modest financial support matched again. So what started as a request for initially for $50,000 to get started has now grown to $13 million. But as Penny says, every dollar counts. Out of that 13 million, you'd think we were all driving luxury utes and electric ones, obviously. But actually, we need your $50,000 a year to keep basic administration of the program going, because everything else is going into operations. Speaking of operations, I'd like to make a shout out to your parks team and the many senior staff and councillors, the community board members and others who've been so supportive actively with us, and also for the use of the council's depot in Devouchelle for extended wildside operations. As Penny referenced, we're concerned that the draft LTP is at best muted about the need to control pests. With the removal of the Environment Partnerships Fund from the LTP, your cash contribution to Pest-Free, and particularly to our ungulate programs, has been discontinued. Because Andy's an expert on this, I'd like you to just talk about our prospects for feral pigs on the peninsula, Andy.
Sure. Kia ora koutou. What Penny said is correct. When the council invests a little bit, it gives me all the excuse I need to leverage a taxpayer fund and bring that out of Wellington and invest that on Banks Peninsula. With feral goats, we've obviously achieved a great success there and eliminated feral goats from Banks Peninsula. That's a cost that we never have to pay for again. It's gone. The next pest that we have firmly set on our sights is feral pigs. We've managed to get them contained. Containment is the first step in an elimination program. And this is something that conservation groups and farmers are working together on Farmers don't want feral pigs. We don't want them either. We've already been able to leverage several $100,000 direct out of the Department of Conservation, because I think we can actually do something quite special here that hasn't been done elsewhere in the country. We have eliminated feral pigs on islands. We haven't done it on mainland New Zealand yet. We think we've got some pretty exciting methods, and I'll be bringing some people down from Wellington to look at those methods, and I'll be asking them to bring out their checkbooks. But it takes us all to work together as a team to do that.
Thank you, Andy. I'm aware that time's run out, Mr. Mayor, but if I could just make a concluding statement.
Yep, you're far away. Yeah.
Thank you. We've been thinking a lot about why the pest-free program, in collaboration with all of our partners and administration through Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust, matters. I'll tell you why. It has been an extraordinary magnet to generate and maintain community confidence and cohesion. It's quite remarkable. The Pest-Free project is known peninsula-wide, indeed nationally, but people are proud of it and they're getting into it. You know, they're getting stuck in at schools, with businesses, and with property owners, both rural and urban. Secondly, it's adding to the science. It's amazing. I'm very fortunate that I work with specialists like Andy, but it's amazing what we don't know about so many of the pests we have and how best to get rid of them. The Pest-Free project has been an ongoing, real-time experiment in how to clear a landscape of something like feral goats. That's extraordinary. And we were nominated for a national award for this last month. Finally, the thing I want to say is, under the administration of Banks Peninsula Conservation Trust, the Pest-Free program has brought together all of these active partners in conservation who would otherwise be competing for every dollar. Competition is a killer for backyard conservation efforts. It's a killer for landscape conservation efforts. So by supporting through your grants to Pest-Free, you're helping to avoid that scourge so we can all focus on what we want to do and achieve the best outcomes for the peninsula and the city as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things I certainly agree with you is I've got a mate of mine, his young son. He looks like Daniel Boone heading out with these traps that he gets from Ovenakaroa, the traps he gets from the men's shed, and he's out there whenever I'm there doing that. So if there's an influx of young people doing that, it's all got to help, because every one they get is one less you've got to worry about.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so I've got Andre, please. Did you have a question? Okay, Kelly.
As a keen feral goat hunter in Kaikoura, I spend quite a bit of money shooting up there and shooting goats. Do you look to facilitate access for private hunters who want to go and help in any way they can?
Yeah,
Rather than just dock and the money required to do that, because I pay for myself. You know.
Yeah, I'm a keen hunter too, but there's a big difference between recreational hunting and eradication. The methods are completely different. The systematic approach has to be completely different. And to be frank, the level of skill set is quite different. Yeah. So we have worked with NZDA and they come and help us do spotting. All the spotters on the hills we need are really important. But when it comes to the actual getting rid of the pests, we need people that are willing to walk past a mob of goats until they can get enough shooters there to get every last one, because the last goat has to be uneducated as the first goat. And that is quite a different methodology than recreational hunting. And because of that, we use very specialist skill set. And I'd love to be the person out there and have that skill set, but even I don't have that skill set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, good answer.
Tyler? Mute, matey.
Do we go now?
No.
Still on mute, Tyler.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Great. Thank you so much. Firstly, I just want to give a shout out to my colleagues. It's good to see your faces again. I just wanted to talk about the aforementioned requests for additions to the LTP. as mentioned in number 4 on one of your submissions for the Conservation Trust. So I was just wondering if I can get some clarity from staff if there are proposed to be cuts, if there's any possibility to just review that in the future for when we close up the LTP.
No,
What is it?
No staff.
no, I've run out of time.
It's just a question for staff to just review.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, we'll look at that, no problem. Okay, so I've got Pauline and Tyrone.
Just quickly, you mentioned the 4 funds, the EPF, Te Kahukura, Pest Free and Feral Ungulate. All those have got no funding included in the LTP, that's correct? So you're therefore seeking 150k?
Yes, that's right. And look, it may be there, but we can't see it.
Thank you.
Thank you, very good. Thank you for a very important...
Thanks, Pauline, made that way clearer.
Thank you, mate. Good on you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have